Now, we begin with economic matters. The National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that Nigeria's headline inflation has risen to a 20-year high of 28.2% in November. The NBS, in a report released on Friday, said that the headline inflation rate increased to 28.20% relative to October 2023 headline inflation rate, which was 27.33%. The figure is the highest record from data obtained on the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The bank's data started from 2023. Now, the NBS said that food inflation rate also increased to 32.84% on a year-on-year basis, which was 8.72 percentage points higher compared to the rate recorded in November 2022. It said that the rise was caused by the increase in the average prices of bread and cereals, oil and fat, meat, coffee, tea and cocoa, potatoes, yam and other tubers. Now, joining us for some perspectives on this new development is Yushau Aliyu, who is joining us to talk about this. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight, Yushau. Hello, Yushau, can you hear me? Hello? All right, so let's get your take on the new development as regards the new inflation figures pertaining the trajectory of the Nigerian economy. What do you make of this?
Used to check inflation over a period, and that is why some of us even predicted even a higher inflation, looking at the supply bottlenecks and other distress that is facing the economy.
All right, so how soon do you think that Nigerians can breathe a sigh of relief as regards the numbers, and really what do you say about the efforts of the CBN to contain the inflation rate?
You see, CBN has taken a very good step in checking inflation, but what we are hoping is that all the monetary policy adjustment that has to be in line with stabilizing the economy has to be put in force. But one fundamental factor that is triggering inflation is you cannot dissociate cost of PMS, which every day you have differential prices, especially in the far north. And that is why you saw that this is the harvesting period. And being a harvesting period, it is expected that prices of food items should go down. But because this PMS, it is sold in Abuja at different prices. You find a filling station selling it only NNPC at 617, others are 650, while others are even 660. But in the far north at the production zone, you will see a situation where it is up to even 700. So there is no way you buy a pump price of 700 and it will not translate or come back to the same product that is being supplied in the market. So this time is not the policies of the central bank, but other unorthodox parameters must be checked, especially the pump price of the PMS.
I mean, is this solely the outcome or the consequences of the removal of fuel subsidy that we're seeing at play here? What do you make, or what do you think about the impact of the unification of the foreign exchange on this as well?
You see, there are a lot of factors responsible for this drastic inflationary trend in this economy. If you take an X1, X2 analysis, you check from January when inflation was 22. It was managed up to around March, April. But unfortunately, at the same time, we have argued it out that even if you are as a farmer, if you are producing crops, There is a time you plant yam. There is a time you plant cassava. There is a time you plant other products. So, but unfortunately, the central bank, at the same time, when subsidy was removed, then unification of exchange rate, and we forgot the fact that we are not producing PMS in the economy, we are importing it. And at the same time also exogenous factors that came into the economy, that is the prices of crude oil continue to rise as a result of unforeseen circumstances that includes the Hamas, the Ukraine war, the Hamas, Palestine, the Hamas-Israeli factors. These are some of the things that are exogenous. But within the same framework, we have argued it out that it is the responsibility of the central bank to maintain price stability. And how to maintain price stability is carefully to make the available dollars that are required for our foreign exchange. But above that one too, there are also insecurity. Insecurity played a greater role in changing prices in Nigeria because the production is not as expected, and there is supply shortages, and there are supply bottlenecks.
All right.
Infrastructures and a lot of issues also are contributing to this trend.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Yushau Aliyu, economist, for joining us on the News Hour tonight and giving your insight on this new development. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Now, moving on to other stories. Governors of the 19 northern states are meeting in Kaduna to discuss issues that affect the region. This is the first time the new governors are meeting since they came into office on May 29, 2023. The meeting, which is being held at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim Government House in Kaduna State Capital, was chaired by the Governor of Gombe State, Inuwa Yahaya, with Governor Ubasani as the host. Here is the report.
The meeting commenced with the observance of a minute silence for the repose of the souls of those who died during Tudimbiri incident. In his address, the chairman of the forum and Governor Inuwa Yahaya of Gombe said the forum will collectively work to ensure Tudimbiri incident does not occur in the future.
Begin by paying special tribute to the people of Tudimbiri community who are victims of the tragic bombing incident by the Nigerian army during counter-terrorism operations. We all witnessed the level of devastation wrought upon them by the tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with all the affected families and the entire people of Kaduna State. I would like to assure you that all the 19 northern states governors are working collectively to ensure that the tragic incident is thoroughly investigated with a view to compensating the victims and taking corrective measures so as to prevent future occurrence.
Considering the security challenges bedeviling the North, the forum said only a collective approach will tackle the menace head-on.
We believe that more needs to be done to bring an end to the menace of kidnapping, banditry, communal clashes, and terrorism bedeviling our region. Security and development are intricately connected, and we must approach them collectively. Without security, there will be no development, because investors can only invest in an environment where their assets and resources are secure. Similarly, our people can only go to farms and pursue other economic livelihoods and other social activities when their safety is guaranteed. Therefore, addressing these security challenges is crucial to the overall development and well-being of our region.
Earlier, the host and the governor of Kaduna State, Ubasani, said uniting the people in the north is a panacea for the development of the region.
Our region has been grappling with challenges of insecurity. Our human development indices have been declining. For the Northern State Governors Forum to remain relevant, We must forge unity among our people and collaborate on issues of development. Ethno-religious unity remains the foundation for the advancement of the ideas of regional peace, security, and development in the North.
The forum also resolved to support the victims of Tudunbiri incident with 180 million naira. The northern governors also joined other faithfuls at Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi Mosque, Tudunwada, to pray for the repose of the souls of the Tudunbiri bombing victims. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, says that the military has no ulterior motives in the fight against insecurity in many parts of the country. According to him, the military loses troops on a daily basis in the ongoing fight against insecurity across the Federation. The CDS cautioned Nigerians against demoralizing troops on the battlefield from effectively discharging their constitutional duties with their actions. Musa spoke during the maiden parley with journalists in Abuja on Friday. Now, the Defense Headquarters has confirmed the death of the wanted terrorist leader Ali Kachala Kawaje, a terrorist bomb expert, Michika Dan Muhammad, and 38 other terrorist commanders in Niger State airstrikes. This is as the DHQ said that it was closing in on other wanted terrorists. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed this in a statement on Friday. The statement says that air assets conducted aggressive air flights on confirmed locations active with the movement of terrorist commanders and their foot soldiers. Strikes carried out resulted in over 38 terrorist commanders and their foot soldiers, while 159 of them were arrested. All right, we'll now have joining us Dr. John Ngamsa, a security and communication expert, to talk about this. Thank you so much for joining us on the news hour tonight, General. Doctor. All right. Okay, so we'll connect with Dr. John Ngamsa later for some insight on this. But for now, let's move on. The Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed in Abuja on Thursday its commitment to implementing strategies aimed at balancing the staggered exchange rates and curbing the surging inflation rates. Governor Olayemi Cardoso presented these plans to the National Assembly Joint Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions. The report.
Highlighting the economic forecast for 2024, Governor Cardoso expressed optimism that both inflation and exchange rates would endure fluctuating pressures and achieve stability, projecting a positive outlook for Nigeria's domestic economy. Additionally, the CBN anticipated reduced revenue from oil exports for the fiscal year, with Nigerian foreign exchange markets trade reaching 18.804 billion naira in Q3 of 2023.
The bank has rolled out a number of strategies for rebuilding confidence in the Nigerian economy. A explicit focus on price stability through 1. Transitioning to an inflation targeting regime, which would include, of course, reliance on orthodox monetary policy instruments, rollback of quasi-fiscal operations, and more effective liquidity management.
Chairman of the Joint Committee, Senator Tokunbo Abiru, emphasized that the interactive session was organized in accordance with existing laws for the statutory briefing by the CBN. Commending the efforts of the CBN governor and the management team, co-chairman of the committee, Honorable Bashir Bello El-Rufai, praised the measures being implemented to stabilize the larger economy.
As we all know, the subsisting act of the CBN, that's CBN Act 2007, makes clear provisions for specific compliance obligations on the part of the CBN with respect to its reporting and briefing obligations to the National Assembly.
Both houses know the economic situation, know the difficult situation you've inherited, and we believe that you have the credentials, the capacity, the honesty, and the boldness to take us to the next level. Please, Mr. Governor and your team, use this experienced legislators, a lot of former governors, my chairman from the banking sector, and assist us to assist you, to assist the Nigerian people.
Both monetary and the fiscal authorities believed that Nigerians will begin to enjoy the dividends of the ongoing reforms.
Right now, let's go back to Dr. John Gamsa, a security and communication expert who will talk to us about the new determination by stakeholders on the fight against insecurity as a result following the Kaduna bombing. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right. Now, trailing the Kaduna bombing, the accidental bombing that we have seen, we are seeing also some kind of renewed vigor, and concern by various stakeholders in the fight against insecurity. Do you think that this will usher in a new beginning?
Yes, obviously, it's a sad commentary that such a moment on history in Nigeria. But things being equal, at least when issues come about like that, we look for solutions, at least in ways of trying to put them aside and move ahead. Well, I can see consulted by the people concerned, particularly the governors of different states and regions. Here in the northeastern region of Nigeria, at least the governors of the zone had a meeting at least to look at some of those areas. I believe there's something also there at the north central. So it's a northern concern, it's not that definitely when people are dealing like that on issues of security, meeting at least to ensure that they get solutions to prevent, such occurrences.
All right. All right.
Now,
from what we heard from the chief of defense staff, he is cautioning citizens against demoralizing troops on the battlefield. What can the armed forces do or the military do to sort of regain trust from members of the public, really?
In position to monitor and to ensure that they get things right. And once that is done, they are also at hand with issues, warning and early response. They're at least in the domain that can contextual security services what is necessarily required, at least to get things right. To my, I understand that their concerns are everybody's concern, and at least will give us some early responses when they get to avert those things. Now, leaving it aside, the technical blunder, from our military forces, it's hard, but I'm sure that it's correct and to ensure that they get right in near future.
Okay, so should the people in the northern region have some kind of trust on the armed forces, going forward?
Usually we have no option as long as credible explanation. But it is presently, it requires a lot of work on this side to ensure that they build the confidence. You can recall that this is not the first time occurrences are going on, and investigations have been getting exhausted to clear the minds of the public and get them to trust the military forces. If you look at advanced democracies and other nations across the world, when issues like that happen, they exhaust them to limit. To the extent that those responsible for that error is taken care of and justice is done to the people concerned. But if you look across Nigeria, we've had cases, and it's like an indictment on the security forces all over. Some time ago, it was an airport bomb that wrongly bombed a refugee camp somewhere in Borno. Some time ago, also villages were innocently bombed around Numan Federation here in Adamawa. Now we're having this particular loose cannon coming up again, It's sad. It's all on innocent citizens. People will begin to think that the security forces are not concerned about dealing with bandits or dealing with innocent people. Why is it in most cases the bombs will always on innocent people and not on the people that are across the nation? So I think once the military forces live up to their expectation and do that which is right, put it, to make people actually follow and understand, respect their own professionality, I think nothing will happen. So it is an individual calling, and I believe collective, that the security forces will up and put up their best and ensure something to build confidence in people so that we can trust them like we're learning to trust the trust.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. John Gamsa, security and communication expert, for joining us on the News Hour tonight and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Now, moving on, the Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed in Abuja on Thursday that its commitment to implementing strategies aimed at balancing the staggered exchange rates and curbing the surging inflation rate. Governor Olayemi Cardoso presented these plans to the National Assembly Joint Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions. Moving on, 11 people were reported dead after a trailer loaded with goods and passengers nosedived into a gully on the Abuja-Jos Highway on Thursday evening. The accident, which occurred at the Hawankibo village of Jos South local government area of Plateau State, also left at least 30 persons injured. The Plateau Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, Alphonsus Godwin, who confirmed the accident in Jos, said that the trailer was heading to the south from Kano when the accident occurred. According to Godwin, the crash occurred as a result of brake failure and overloading. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has asked the National Assembly to approve the 17 billion naira appropriated for FCT administration in the 27.5 trillion naira 2024 proposed national budget. Wike made the appeal when he appeared before the joint session of the Senate and House committees on FCT in Abuja. The minister says that the 17.1 billion naira FCT allocation will address uncompleted projects and include new infrastructure development projects for the actualization of the Abuja Master Plan. Now, the management of ShopRite Mall has announced that it is stopping operations in its Kano State branch from January 14, 2024. The popular mall, in a circular made available to journalists on Thursday, attributed its decision to financial difficulties and high production costs facing businesses in the country. This development is coming on the heels of the current announcement by Jumia Food to cease operation in Nigeria by the end of this month, citing growing economic challenges. In the circular, the supermarket noted that the decision is regrettable, but however necessary, hinting that all employees working at the mall will be laid off once it ceases operation in the state. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, Imo residents decry increasing price of cooking gas. Details and more after the break.
It's time to jackpot for more fun. This season, there are loads of exciting content. Enjoy all the drama, intrigue, suspense, and romance in a wide range of telenovela series, Nollywood movies, Bollywood, kiddies program, and introducing our new kiddies channel, Wooing. After 5 years of waiting, the Nigeria Premier Football League is finally back, live and exclusively on Star Times.
Enjoy more this season with our jackpot promo. Recharge 2 months on Classic or Super Bouquet and get 14 days free, or recharge 2 months and get upgraded to a higher bouquet. Wow! Recharge now and jackpot for more fun and stand a chance to win Sundial TV and other fantastic gifts. Offer runs till January 20, 2024. Terms and conditions apply. Star Times. Entertain your family.
Should I keep quiet? And then we kept saying, can't we teach these people basic business, not hustling? Teach our people entrepreneurship, not hustling. Go to China, Guangzhou, different districts. They can turn fair. Am I saying what you don't know?
So this about this thing.
Yeah, but this time around we're talking about appointment of ministers, where there is an express provision in the constitution as regards that.
Let's come to appointment. You know, it is the status of FCT that the constitution has made is too complicated for people to understand.
However, if you are to go backwards and do a kind of audit, you will be shocked to find that the resources so far expended on the SDGs far outstrips the achievements face to face.
Most of the time when you are involved, it's difficult for you to draw back and have a holistic view, because what? Sentiment would always come to play, because all of us would definitely, I had, like I told you yesterday, I was 100% convinced that you cannot say you are qualified without bringing any document.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a reminder of our main stories. Nigerian inflation rate reaches 20-year high. Plus, Northern governors meet on regional strategy for sustainable development. Now moving on, the Supreme Court has upheld the federal government's appeal challenging the verdicts of the appeal court which dismissed the charges against Nnamdi Kanu. In upholding the government's appeal, the Supreme Court held that Kanu must face trial at the Federal High Court. The Supreme Court, in the judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Agim but prepared by Justice Garba Lawal, held that the Court of Appeal was wrong to rule that Kanu could not be tried again based on the illegality perpetrated against him by the federal government following the invasion of his home. Also, the court held that although the Nigerian government was reckless and unlawfully rendered Kanu from Kenya, such unlawful act has not divested any court from proceeding with trial. Justice Lawal said that no Nigerian law was cited in the suit seeking Kanu's release on the grounds of unlawful abduction from Kenya. According to the court, at the moment, the remedy for such an action is for Kanu to file a civil matter against the act instead of removing the powers of the court to continue with his trial for alleged criminal charges.
The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court says represents the law. We respect it. We go by it. There is no other way. We had hoped that it would come our way, but it has gone the other way. It simply means that we have to go back to the High Court and get done with this quickly. We still have hope. We're not in despair.
By the grace of God,
yes. So
victory is assured.
Yes.
At the end of the day,
we will lose a little time. We still have to go back. That's all it means. But I'm very consoled by what the Supreme Court said, that he ought not to have been treated the way he was treated. His bail ought not to have been revoked. His home ought to have been invaded. all that is a consolation to us. So we have hope. Thank you very much.
A former governor of Anambra State and elder statesman Chukwuemeka Ezefe has died at the age of 86. Chukwuemeka Ezefe served as governor of Anambra State from January 1992 to November 1993 during the Third Republic. He was born on November 20, 1937 in Igbo Ukwu, Anambra State, Nigeria. Ezefe did not attend secondary school but taught himself through correspondence courses, qualifying for university admission. He gained a bachelor's degree in economics from the University College Ibadan, then attended Harvard University on a Rockefeller Foundation scholarship, where he obtained a master's and then PhD degree in 1972. Ezefe joined the civil service as an administrative officer and rose to the position of permanent secretary. In this next video, we bring you some highlights from his appearance on Trust TV's Reminiscences, where he talks about his upbringing, the Biafra Civil War, and the current state of affairs in Nigeria.
It wasn't easy for any Igbo boy or girl in America or any Europe or Europe. You had to go and beg for money and give to some people who transmit to home. There is, he discovered I did something totally different from what he was directing. In the presence of the press, he spoke Arabic and in English he said, "May God never bring me close to this man again." Now, Chiroma is a good man. When the thing worked perfectly, he called the press again and told them, what I said about him, I withdraw. His proposal was superior to mine, and he has the courage to insist on doing what he thinks is good for the country, instead of following my orders. So that was those days. These days, the ministers, I think, cajole the officers. After that big money affair, APC primary, PDP primary, and the highest bidders took everything. I think we are entering a new Nigeria, where men without conscience, who have been messing up God's great design for Nigeria, are being pushed aside.
Watch the full conversation at 8 p.m. this Saturday on Trust TV. Residents of Owerri, the Imo State capital, have decried the consistent rise in the price of cooking gas in the state. Trust TV's Ajibade Praise, who visited some of the gas stations in the metropolis, reports that residents are seeking alternatives as the cost of living surges with each passing day. The report.
Among the gas stations visited is this one located at Aba Road in Naze, Owerri North local government area of the state. The price of gas at this location has risen to 960 naira per kg as against the 560 naira price it was sold a few months ago. Residents who are lamenting that the increment is too high added that since economy is already not favorable, the hiking price of cooking gas is like adding salt to injury.
In fact, everything is high in Nigeria, both the cost of living, commodities, everything are high. So they should reduce the price, and it's affecting everybody.
We've been enjoying the low cost of gas previously, but recently it has been hiked to 1,000 naira and above per kg. So it's so terrible.
Is when we start using gas as of then. But things are not costly with them. So it's not easy for them to fill it and sell. It's also the same thing for us and them. So if they want to reduce the price, they should do it for us.
Though the management of the gas station refused to speak to us on camera when Trust TV called, one of the attendants who obliged us said they only sell at the price they are instructed to. Like others, he decried the hardship, saying that they also get the product at exorbitant rates at the depot.
It's bad government now. It's not us that pay the price, it's government that pay the price. If not before, customer used to feel here, but now, customer is not feeling here again. Now you can see few people here. They are not seeing crowd. If not before, you can see plenty crowd for here. This nice is very hard, some people to buy it.
Many families are finding it very difficult, and it has caused some families to resort in using firewood, which is not the best option. So I think the government should know what to do about it. It's not good for us.
The price of gas is costly, like else. But everything is costly, If they want to know the price, they should.
While the residents decry hiking the product and look forward to a quick intervention from the federal government, they are not also happy with the current situation of the country, especially the hike in cost of living. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has put a stop to allocation of Hajj seats to private operators. NACON, through a press release, had earlier informed the public that federal government of Nigeria has facilitated obtainment of additional allocation of 30 slots operators PTO sector from the previous 10 slots allocated by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In collaboration with the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah, thereafter parameters were set to choose the best of a scale of 40 high scores. NACON Chairman Jalal Arabi announced to the PTOs that members with legitimate grievances pertaining to the qualification of any tour operator are encouraged to present well-documented facts and figures supporting their claims. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has debunked reports of fresh outbreaks of coronavirus in Benue State. The agency said that there was no fresh case of the disease in the state. NCDC Director General Ifedayo Adetifa said that the media report is a complete misinterpretation of a statement made on December 11 by a World Health Organization's state surveillance officer at the civil society organizations and media personnel meeting organized by the Benue State Primary Healthcare Board. Now, according to Adetifa, in a statement issued on Thursday, December 14, the surveillance officer, while giving her presentation on the epidemiology of COVID-19 in Benue, stated that Benue State had recorded a total of 25 cases in the year 2023, with the last case recorded as of mid-April. He said that the information provided by the surveillance officer was based on the publicly available situation report published weekly by the State Ministry of Health. Since the announcement of the index case of COVID-19 in Nigeria, the DG noted that there have been a total number of 6,013,826 tests conducted, 267,184 confirmed cases, and 3,155 deaths. A West African court has ruled that the ousted president of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, and his family have been arbitrarily detained and called for his reinstatement. Bazoum was overthrown by members of his presidential guard on July 26 and has been detained at home with his wife and children since. The coup was widely condemned and prompted sanctions from West Africa's main political and economic bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, amid widespread calls for a return to democracy rule. On Friday, the ECOWAS Court of Justice sitting in Abuja ordered Nigeria's military government to re-establish constitutional order through Bazoum's reinstatement. The judge, Beri Be Autara, called for his immediate and unconditional release. According to his lawyer, Seido Diagne, Bazoum filed a lawsuit before the court on September 16 to free him. The Nigerian military government also filed a suit before the court in November to order the lifting of the sanctions imposed on the country by ECOWAS, but the request was denied. Joining us live to talk more on this is Professor Jude Momodu to give us some perspectives. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight, Prof.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right. Now, there is negotiations ongoing, but here we are having a court order at the same time. Do you think that this court order is likely to have an impact on the negotiations?
Definitely it will have an impact on the negotiation. Already, I think yesterday, the military junta in Niger has already started considering the option of agreeing to a transition timetable. I'm sure that change in behavior must have been occasioned by the stance of ECOWAS to insist that they should come up with a timetable, transition timetable. Again, I think that the ruling of ECOWAS has also added some pressure also to the military junta for them to have agreed to the fact that they would release the transition timetable. So I think the court judgment is also playing a role to that effect.
Okay, the military junta may have started a process of restoring civilian government in the country, but is there a chance really for the military government to reinstate the former president, or I would say the ousted president, Mohamed Bazoum?
Well, I doubt much whether the military junta will be willing to reinstate Bazoum. And of course, you knew what prompted the military coup in the first place because of the love lost. One of the reasons why the junta took over was because of the love lost, and the fact that the President Bazoum was also planning to replace the head of the junta now, who was the head of the Palace Guard. So because of that love lost, I don't think the junta will want Bazoum to be reinstated.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the news tonight, Prof, and sharing your perspective with us. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much, and we pray for peace in Nigeria, and I also pray that they agree to coming up with a timetable, timetable, so that peace can be restored in Nigeria.
All right. We pray for normalcy to return, really. Well, that was Professor Jude Momodu. He is the Director, Center for Peace and Security Studies at Modibo Adama University in Adama. Thank you so much. Well, moving on to other stories now, we'll be taking some business updates as put together by Chiamaka Nwafo.
The World Bank on Thursday approved the $750 million distributed access through renewable energy scale-up DARES project in Nigeria. According to reports, the $750 million credit from the International Development Association, IDA, is being used to leverage more than $1 billion from private investors and additional funding from different partners. Contributions include $100 million from the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet and $200 million from the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Other collaborators in the initiative include the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, the German Development Agency, GIZ, Sustainable Energy for All, and the African Development Bank AFDB. This ambitious DARES project aims to provide over 17.5 million Nigerians with better access to electricity through distributed renewable energy solutions to tackle the electricity access deficit. The managing director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, this Friday urged central banks around the world not to rush to relax their fight against inflation, even with the Federal Reserve signaling its own policy pivot next year. The IMF chief joined European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde and Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey in voicing caution after the Federal Reserve jolted markets Wednesday by indicating its policymakers are turning their attention to cutting borrowing costs in 2024. She indicated that her advice applied to the case of the Bank of Korea after she met with Governor Ri Chong-yong. Georgieva said the Federal Reserve was correct to signal its pivot based on US data, but other central banks should consider their own situations. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Now, away from Nigeria, a Dutch court has dismissed a case brought by human rights organizations against the delivery of an F-35 fighter jet parts which are used by Israel in its war in Gaza. The district court in The Hague ruled on Friday that it will not halt the exports. Delivering the parts is primarily a political decision that judges should not interfere with, it reasoned. The United States-owned F-35 parts are stored at a warehouse in the Netherlands and then shipped to several partners, including Israel, via existing export agreements. However, NGOs, including the local branches of Amnesty International and Oxfam, argued that the supply route makes the Netherlands complicit in the war. Dutch authorities said that it was unclear whether they even had the power to intervene in the deliveries, which are part of a US-run operation. Government lawyers also argued that if the Dutch did not supply the parts, Israel could easily procure them elsewhere. The international medical charity Doctors Without Borders, also called Médecins Sans Frontières, or MSF, says that it is definitely suspending work at an emergency medical center in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince, after an armed group pulled a critical ill patient from an ambulance and shot him dead in the street. MSF is one of the few remaining international organizations delivering medical care in the capital, which is largely controlled by powerful gangs that have forced nearly 200,000 people from their homes, with many reporting houses burned down, arbitrary murders, kidnapping and gang rapes. The attack took place on Tuesday when an MSF ambulance convoy was leaving the medical center in the area of Tourguère in central Port-au-Prince for patient transfers. In a statement, MSF's head of mission in Haiti, Benoit Vasseur, said that they needed a minimum of safety to carry out their medical mission, adding that they can't work if their medical mission is threatened by violence. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has blocked 50 billion euros aid for Ukraine from the European Union hours after the group agreed to formally open membership talks with Kyiv. Leaders meeting in Brussels said that they will revisit the issue next month after Orban refused to back the additional funding for Ukraine's government as it battles to remove Russian forces from its territory. Orban had promised to block the membership talks and the funding for weeks, and the decision was a blow to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who failed this week to persuade Republican lawmakers in the United States to approve an additional $61 billion for Ukraine. Most EU leaders wanted this week's summit to send a clear sign of solidarity with Ukraine amid perceptions eagerly seized upon and repeated by Moscow that allies' support for Kiev was waning. Critics have accused the Hungarian leader of holding Kiev's survival hostage in a bid to force Brussels to release billions of euros in EU funds frozen amid concerns about Budapest's commitment to the rule of law. In what some saw as a last-minute concession, the European Commission, the EU's executive, agreed on Wednesday to unblock 10 billion euros of the money. Now time to take a look at sports update with Emmanuel Fashemi.
Super Eagles and Nottingham Forest striker Taiwo Awoniyi's club coach Steve Cooper has confirmed that the injured striker will soon return strong and better. The gangly forward has been out of action for the last 3 weeks, and his absence has caused his team to lose some games. Cooper stated that his rehabilitation is going smoothly and will soon recover fully. Following the injury, Awoniyi may not be available for selection for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. The Super Falcons of Nigeria have dropped from 34th to 36th in the latest ranking released by the World Football Governing Body FIFA. In the ranking table published Friday on FIFA website, the Falcons lost 21.96 points to rank 1,627.12 points compared to 1,649.08 points in August as of the last time the rankings were released. However, the slip did not affect the team's ranking on the continent as they still remain number one team in Africa. The Super Falcons have been victorious in 3 of their last 4 games played after the World Cup, to include the 7-1 aggregate drubbing of Cape Verde to qualify for the Africa Women Nations Cup set for 2024 in Morocco. In the rankings, the World Cup winning team, Spain, moved 1 place to rank as the number 1 team in the world. The United States ranked second, with France, England and Sweden completing the top 5. Germany, the Netherlands, Japan, Korea and Canada complete the top 10. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashemi.
And with that, we wrap up the news hour for tonight. But you can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ile. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.